Okay, a lot of runners hit a wall, not in a race, but in their progress. They're running marathons year after year, but they're not getting much faster. And here's the truth. If this one thing doesn't change, your times are not going to improve so much either. But if you fix this, you'll see consistent progress year after year with very little extra effort. Maybe this sounds familiar. You start running and you get to a point where you can run 20 minutes without stopping and it feels great. Then somebody in the office signs up for a marathon and it's 9 months away or it's next year and it feels like a lifetime away. So you get involved too and you're working towards a goal. You go in a short space of time from not running at all to jumping into marathon training. And the sole goal, because there are other people involved and it's such a monumental task, is for you to finish the marathon. So you focus on going long and slow. And there's nothing wrong with building volume and conditioning the body for the marathon. To complete the marathon is an incredible achievement. But here's what I see happen over and over again. And it doesn't matter whether you're running 3 hours for the marathon, 4 hours for the marathon, or 5 hours for the marathon. What happens when that marathon is done, you're sore for a couple of weeks, you stop running, and that's justified. But then it's not until there's another race that you start to run again, or because you feel like the project is done. And to an extent, the project is complete, and mentally and physically, you do need a break. And you might think that, okay, I'm running all year round, and then certain times it's more intense towards a race, towards a marathon. But in actual fact, when you're not training towards a race, towards an A goal, you're running 1, 2, 3 times a week. And often when I look under the bonnet, it's less than that. But here's the problem when you're training like that. You're not building month on month, year on year. And so you're not realizing the progress and the times that you actually deserve, because essentially every time you start a training block, you're starting from almost scratch. You're starting from that level of inconsistency. Then not only is it harder to get back into training and to get back into training at the level that you was not too long ago, you're also having to hardwire the habit again. You're essentially trying to do incredible things with your body, but you're making it really difficult for yourself. So I'm going to give you the fix, the simple shift, which will make such a big impact on your progress. Do not lose the identity of being a runner. So once you finish the marathon, 1-2 weeks off is a great time just to let the body rest and also mentally have a break. When you start running again, start from a place of enthusiasm. So you're looking forward to getting back running because you've missed it. Then when you start, you're not jumping back into training. So forget the structure for the time being. What I do is I run every other day, to a point where I'm just enjoying being out there in the nature or being out there in the fresh air. What I want to do in the next 2 to 4 weeks is get to a point where I cannot wait to implement interval sessions, speed work, and long runs. That's exactly where you want to be. That allows you to feel the legs out, let the legs come back, and will help you with that consistency over the months and years. Once you're at a point where you're jumping at the bit to do some intervals, that's the point where you can pick a new goal. Not another marathon, the same goal as what you've just finished, the project, the big project in, but a different goal that works and attacks your weaknesses. And here's where the magic happens. If your last goal was a marathon, and you've done that race, and you've identified some weaknesses, this target could be 5K or a 10K, a half marathon, or even an ultra trail marathon. If you've noticed that endurance was your weakness and it was a real struggle for you to get to the end, if you target an ultra trail marathon, you might do something like a 50K or a 40-mile trail race, and you'd be surprised how easy on the body that is usually compared to an all-out marathon where you're pushing. If you've realized that, oh, I'm pretty good at this and I want to go for a sub 3-hour marathon, you might want to target the equivalent times for 5K, 10K and improve that part of your game, which is very smart to do at this stage. It really harnesses the training, it really anchors the training. If all of a sudden you think, okay, sub 3-hour marathon, that means I need to run 85, 90 minutes in the half marathon, and back from that, something like 18:30 and 37:30 for 10K. So you may be, okay, let's first get that 5K time, work on that top end speed or that faster speed. And with that, you're getting plenty of feedback because you're able to race very frequently a 5K, recover, put the training to work, see what's working, what's not, what to remove, what to keep, and then move on to the 10K and then attack the half marathon. Right now, you might be thinking, I've just finished a marathon in 4 hours and that's brilliant. But in the future, maybe 2, 3, 5 years from now, I want to get that sub 3-hour marathon. But if you put together a group of smart training schedules, 5K, 10K, and then half marathon, and attack that half marathon and be comfortable at running 90 minutes, you're really only a block away of running that sub 3-hour marathon if you've got all the components in place. Remember that you're training compounds over time, and you know on this channel I'm very big on you don't know what you're capable of if you've not trained in the right way yet. And especially if you're new to running, you're new to structure, you're new to speed work, working in a slightly different, more methodical way, the results can be astounding. And you've seen the success stories on this channel of people who were running 4 hours 30 for the marathon, who were then in the next marathon going for that sub 3. It's not unrealistic. If you think about it, if you've been training in a way that you thought was right, but there's so many things that you can optimize within that training schedule. Imagine how that works over the course of the next 3 to 6 months when you're not only working on your strengths, but you're developing your weaknesses into strengths too. If you add to that the ability to remove the limiting beliefs, for me, that meant in an 11-month period, I went from running 3 hours 25 for the marathon to running 2 hours 37 for the marathon. That didn't make sense to the people around me at the time. It made sense to go for the natural next step, which was to run that 2 hour 59:59. To me, that made no sense. It was always about trying to realize my potential as a runner. Stop repeating the same marathon cycles over and over again. You've got to train with intent. I speak to guys all the time that got into running, were able to run 5K and then jumped in the marathon, and they've not done anything different, and it's 7 years later. Their times have not improved greatly. And the trap they fall into is thinking they've plateaued and there's nowhere to go for them in the marathon, when in actual fact, they're missing the components, the key components in their game that are really going to take them to the next level. You've got to set yourself up for success with marathon running, like anything in life. I'll put on the screen a couple of videos of success stories in the marathon of guys that have gone well beyond their expectations.